judicial reforms and institution of development, propriety of proceedings with the vetting process, case management and judicial administration. Right, Honorable Speaker, I will urge the Hansard Department to capture the entire report as having been read, and I would read the recommendation and the conclusion of the committee. Right, Honorable Speaker, by way of recommendation, the committee recommends to the House, by majority decision, the approval of the nomination of Justice Paul Bafo-Boni for the appointment as Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. Right, Honorable Speaker, all the new patriotic members of the committee, minority, indicated before the vetting that they have voted against the nominee. Right, Honorable Speaker, the committee acting in accordance with the provisions of Article 1441 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana and Order 217 of the Standing Orders of Parliament, duly examine the nominee submitted by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana for appointment as Chief Justice. Upon careful deliberations, the committee knows that the nominee demonstrated outstanding competence a very deep knowledge of the law and a firm grasp of the judicial ethics. He addressed questions posed by the committee with professionalism, clarity, and intellectual rigor, reflecting his capacity to uphold the independence, integrity, and dignity of the highest court of the land. The committee is satisfied that the nominee possesses the requisite qualification, judicial temperament, and commitment to constitutional values expected of Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. In conclusion, all the members of New Patriotic Party minority were opposed and indicated from the onset before vetting that they are voting against the nomination of the Chief Justice nominee, and subsequently walk out of the proceedings after the preliminary remark by the Honorable Minority Leader on behalf of the Minority Caucus. The committee therefore recommends to the House by majority decision the adoption of the report of the approval of Justice Paul Bafo-Boni as Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. Right, Honorable Speaker, I so submit.
Good afternoon, welcome to Clock TV. I am Clement Yabankwe. This is a special broadcast and it's all about the 2026 budget presentation and economic policy, which will just be presented by the Minister of Finance in no time in the floor of Parliament. As you saw on the screen earlier, Parliament is in session. they are ready. And what you saw actually is about the appointment committee presenting their report on the vetting of the Chief Justice, who was just vetted on Monday. So that was a report the appointment committee chair, that's the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, was presenting to the House. And after that presentation, the House needs to make a decision, either by voting, by majority, or a consensus building, to know that indeed the Chief Justice who has been vetted and nominated has now been approved to be the actual Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. So that is what you saw on the screen. We'll be giving you updates, live updates from Parliament as and when we get it. So just stay with Clock TV. We'll bring you all the updates pertaining to the 2026 budget presentation and economic policy. I'm not doing this alone. I'm in the studios with my own colleague, Peter Kojo Insia, and we're having this discussion. We'll be delving deeper into anything about finance, anything about the budget, anything you need to know. We are equally going to be joined by a finance expert, a PhD finance candidate as well, who happens to be the person of Mr. Martin, who would equally join us in-house in no time for the discussion. We'll be speaking with the Executive Secretary of the Export and Importers Association as well. We want to know their thoughts into the budget. We'll equally be speaking with the General the Secretary General or the PRO, the PRO of Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwife Association, who also joined through a phone-in section, who will be presenting to us what the health sector expect in the budget. But before then, I just want to take a quick from Peter. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Clement.
You look so smart.
Thank you. So as you.
I was here in the morning, and I think viewers could tell what happened in the morning. But this afternoon, before we delve deeper into the budget, what has happened in Parliament? What is your take currently?
I mean, I'm super excited seeing what is transpiring from what we saw before your introduction. It looks, yes, Parliament is ready. Ministers, MPs are all poised and ready. I mean, this is the day Ghanaians are waiting for, because this budget revolves around each and every one, our lives, our daily ups and downs, businesses and all of that. And I mean, looking at Parliament, what is transpiring there, it shows that they are ready and they are poised. And we can't just wait for what the Minister of Finance have for us as to whether there's going to be a relief. People have been talking, and then the issue is about employment, relief for the ordinary Ghanaian. They are looking for a budget, a business-friendly budget and all of that. And so we are all in anticipation, waiting for the best to happen to us. And then about what you spoke about the presentation of the vetting results to Parliament. And I'm excited that in spite of everything, the whole situation that revolved around the vetting and everything, they are done, and today they are presenting the results to Parliament. And I'm hopeful that we'll get a good outcome out of it.
Thank you so much, Peter. Peter, so hopeful that indeed Parliament is going to be peaceful, even though the minority did not they were not involved in the vetting process. That was last Monday. They actually said they are not going to take part of it. But as we speak, they are in Parliament. So people are asking the question that will they still be there while the voting process is going to go on? Or there's going to be, they will move out. What actually is going to happen? But away from that, we are just going to give you all the updates or what you are supposed to expect in this, the budget that will be presented in no time. Just send us a message on the WhatsApp number displayed on the screen. Keep us updated and let us keep talking. Let's keep going. Let's tell Ghanaians or let everybody know your thoughts into the budget as well. Peter, let's get into it. 2025 budget. This morning, speaking with experts, made me understand that, yes, the budget that the government introduced brought relief. What's your take on the 2025 budget so far?
Yeah, so Clement, so far so good. It's been good. Looking at the start of the year up to date, we've seen some form of stability in terms of the foreign exchange. Currently, we can say that the dollar as against the CD is fairly good. in as much as people are also calling that it should go down deeper, we say that at least it's been good and it has been stable for some time now. Exactly. And when you look at inflation too, we say that it is good. And so far, so good. It has been good. But people are also saying that there were some, reforms, some promises that were made in the 2025 budget, which of course we didn't see its implementation. And I know we will dive deeper into that. And we are hoping that this 2026 budget, we see something about it, because it's something that is really going to help the business people. Anytime we talk about budget, our focus sometimes is on Parliament. Exactly. That's all we are all waiting for. That's where we get to hear the big figures. The big figures are announced. But then when you go to the marketplace, that is where the effect of it is being felt. That's where the market women, their daily, activities, the buying and selling and all that. That is where the actual, effect is being felt. And so they have a concern that there was some promises, and I know we get there, something like the Women's Bank, which was intended to bring relief to the women, and so that they are able to borrow with, lesser interest rates to enable them to take their, activities very, seriously. But when you take a look at them, I would say our mothers are magicians, looking at the interest rate they pay on the loans they go for, and they are still there working hard, ensuring that the economy is booming. I mean, they are magicians, and at every point in time, at this point in time, I think we need to pay particular attention to them. And I'm also glad that the finance minister and his deputy actually went to the market women to find out from them what is actually transpiring and what their expectations are. And I think that is a very good call. It means that this government is actually a listening government and would want to know what is down there before they pick it up to the level. They don't want to start from up before they descend, but rather want to understand what is actually happening down there, and then they pick it up. And so I'm super excited about that aspect of this whole preparation towards the budget today.
Okay, thank you so much, Peter. So this government is listening government. They are picking it from the down to the top approach. But the question is, yes, they will come to the down. We will tell them we need ABC. But what happens if they go there and they don't do the ABC?
I mean, so the whole thing is that, once they are able to think about the grassroots, and they made a step to go there to listen. I mean, this is not the first time. For the first time, 2025, we saw him and his deputy at the Makola market interacting with the market women as to what is actually transpiring there. It looks as though we have been complaining that they are just at the top there in their various offices. They don't know what is going on. They don't know the prices of some essential goods and all that. They said, no, let's go down there, interact with the people, get to understand them better so that we will know what to do. So for me, I would say that as they've been able to go there, interact with them, it means that it is a part of what they want to do. Okay. So I don't think they'll just go there, listen to them without, considering their request. And then, like I said, we saw it earlier this year, and I'm sure we are going to see it.
Thank you so much. We saw it earlier this year, and you're so sure we are going to see it once again. Your general expectation? Budget is going to be presented in no time, at least in the next 20-30 minutes. We should see the finance minister reading it to the parliamentarians. What are your general expectations?
Yes, so over the weekend, I was going through the various social media platforms, listening, reading what people are actually saying, what they expect from the government. And, what caught my attention was the fact that almost everyone, the youth, what they are looking for is job creation, employment. They are looking for a budget that will create avenues for employment. And then also the Women's Bank, they are also calling on this government, the Minister for Finance, to also, walk the talk to bring the establishment of the Women's Bank to bear so that it will also help them. And then in terms of business, the business women and men are also looking for a budget, a business-friendly budget.
Exactly.
So when we talk about business-friendly budgets, basically they are talking about the tax, the VAT, and all that to ensure that they are able to, sell at, moderate prices, not as though like we've been complaining that inflation is down, exchange rates is down, but still prices of some essential goods are still high. They are also calling that this budget, they will look at the VAT and some taxes to ensure that the ordinary Ghanaian become, free. And also, people are also calling for, some form of relief, some form of social protection. So some amount of money should be invested into some of the ministries. So when we take the ministry for me, my top priority will be the education ministry. Because that is where we tend to train people. That's where the human capital is. We train people for a long-term, investment. That is a very long-term investment.
Exactly.
And so they need more money for training. And then in terms of technology, digital technology, they need more money to invest into that. And then it will come to the Ministry of Health. If you are healthy, you are able to undertake every responsibility of yours. But if you are not healthy, you can't do what is expected of you. So I'm also expecting that. And then down to the Ministry of Energy, because we need a stable power supply to be able to those into manufacturing and all that. We need stable power supply. And then since this 1 cedi tax or levy was introduced, you would bear with me or agree with me that light has been stable these days, unlike previously. And so for me, I think that it's a good thing. And then people are also saying that the VAT and 8 additional levies are too much. And so they are calling on governments the finance ministers to look at that so that, business will be friendly.
Thank you so much, Peter, for this wonderful submission and the ministries that need to be given enough funding or need to be allocated with enough funding. For Education Ministry has been on the top list whenever budget is being presented since time. And last year, for example, Education Ministry was the first on the list, and they were given an amount of 31 billion 762,464,382 Ghana cedis. That was the amount of money given or allocated to the Ministry of Education. So when you look at the Ministry of Education, there were lots of initiatives that they were doing, like this free SHS policy was still ongoing. We had the new one introduced, the tertiary education student, the free first year was also introduced. So we see a lot of things was happening or were happening within this few months that this government came to office, because this money was budgeted for it. The next ministry that they took critical attention, was the Ministry of Health. Ministry of Health, and Ministry of Health was given an amount of 17 billion Ghana cedis, close to 18 billion. That is 17.8 billion Ghana cedis. That was second on the list. And the third was Ministry of Interior in terms of security. And the Ministry of Interior was given an amount of 13.7 billion Ghana cedis. So at least these first three ministries, we had Ministry of Education, we had Ministry of Health, we have Ministry of Interior. The first three. Should the budget 2026, what is going to be presented in no time, be on the same target, where we have Ministry of Education still on the list, Ministry of Health coming, then Ministry of Interior follow, then the rest follow? Or you think there should be something that the minister or the finance minister need to consider within these first three ministries?
Yes. So for me, I think that the ministry should, for the first one, I will maintain the first one. And we will all bear witness that there's a lot ongoing. And then there's still the Ministry of Education needs more money to ensure that they are done with all the initiatives they started. We need more infrastructure. We need more money to invest into technology and all that. And so coming down to the ministry, so for me, the Ministry of Education should still be at the top, and then the Ministry of Health should still maintain its position. But for me, the Interior Ministry, I will go for the Ministry of, how do you call it?
Agric or Defense?
No, the Ministry of, so I think I'll go for Agric before Interior.
Peter, I would like you to hold your thought.
Sure.
We will come in to know why Agric before Interior or before Defense, because people are saying that security is equally important. So if you give money for us to do more planting, and our security is at stake, what is the way forward? So we will come back to that. But we have the General Secretary or the Regional Secretary for Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwife Association, Mr. Solomon, on the line, who is joining us via phone in. Good afternoon, welcome to Clock TV. So please, thank you so much for your time. And we are discussing the 2026 budget and the economic policy. I would like to know your thoughts on this. Generally, what is the Ghana Registered Nurses Association expecting in the 2026 budget?
Okay, thank you very much, and good afternoon to your viewers and listeners. For we, as Nurses and Midwife, or Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwife Association, basically, we are looking at the welfare of our members. So it is our expectation that as we speak, you know, I heard you mentioning the amount that was allocated for the Ministry of Health for this year, and that's around 17.8 billion. And so we will be more happy should the government consider inching it up a bit, because as we speak, we have close to about a little over 6,500 people that have been employed, but they are yet to be enrolled on the payroll, meaning that they have worked for over 10, 11 months without any salary. And for us as Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwife Association, we will be happy that they are considered in this budget allocation, or the budget that is going to be read, so that they can start receiving their salaries. We know and we appreciate the efforts of our sector minister, who is working hard around the clock to get them to receive their salaries. But we just hope that it will be captured in the budget statement. Also, you know, for what we have been doing, the whole of the year, one of the key things that have kept the nurses and midwives in the media is conditions of service. And our conditions of service have not been fully implemented. As we speak, government only paid our uniform allowance. That was for the month of September. Food allowance have not been paid. Research and book allowance have not been paid. The 8% non-basic allowance have not been paid. Of course, we know some engagements ensuing between the Fair Wages and Salary Commission and Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwife Association. But we shall be happy, or we'll be glad to hear that the sector minister, that's Minister for Finance, will consider mentioning these key things in the budget statement. There should be allocation for it. Of course, we are also hoping that our 13-month salary will be considered in the budget statement. So we have quite a number of items that we are praying that the government will consider. And all these things are stated in our condition of service. Our 13th-month salary, the rural and on-call incentive allowance that we are praying for our colleagues in the hard-to-reach areas. I mean, they are working under deserved areas, but they don't have anything motivating them. Even the agency, Ghana Health Service, has demarcated specific areas as rural areas in the country and everything. But we believe that even those areas are not enough. We have quite a number of them that we need to consider as rural areas. And of course, we shall be happy to see some investment in infrastructure, and that will aid in our work. Not all the areas or the hospitals that are working have the facilities, the necessary logistics that we need to work with. So we would pray the finance minister to increase the budget allocation for the health sector, so that a lot can be done for our nurses and midwives, and also particularly for the general public.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So as you mentioned, you want the finance minister to increase the budget allocation for the health ministry. As we said, last or this year, it was giving close to 18 billion Ghana cedis. In your opinion, how much do you think the health ministry deserve?
Oh, of course. I mean, if we should have, I think if we should have our, let's say, 30 to 50% increments, that will go a long way to help the sector. Because I always say that any country that prioritizes the health of its people, or any leader, any government that prioritizes the health of its people, has proven to be a listening government. So we only pray that government will do something about it, increase it, at least 30% allocation will be added to the previous one. Then we can work on these things. And I think much of these things that we have laid there will be achieved.
Thank you so much. There was this one thing, there was in 2025 budgets and the key allocations, government and the health, that's health sector, NHIS, free primary health care and Mahama Care, allocated an amount of 9.93 billion Ghana cedis. With this key allocation in 2025 budget, looking at the amount that was being allocated, would you say that it was rightly utilized or it was rightly implemented? Or given your general overview on 2025 budget, what will be your conclusion?
Yeah, so for us, we say that there's more room for improvement. Looking at the figures stated by you in terms of the investment with Mahama Care and all those things, you need infrastructure, you need human resources, you need logistics to get these things done. We want to help the government to succeed. So as nurses and midwives, whatever we need to enhance our work, we will only pray that government will invest into it. So to see the realization of the vision of the government of the day, then we must pay particular attention to the investment of these areas. So we will only pray that government should increase the allocation in the budget, and we will all, as a people, will have a healthy population.
Thank you so much. And in one of your demands, as we got access to it online, we realized that Ghana Registered Nurses Midwifery Association were demanding that professional development and licensing should be included in the budget. Was that the call?
Yes. It was sort of, like I stated earlier in my submission, I stated that largely the things that we'll be looking out for, expecting a government to make allocation, is our condition of service. And I listed some items. The continual professional studies is also part. It is something that has been agreed by government. So we expect the government to make the necessary funds to realize it. Because if you've signed a contract with your people, and as a father for all, you said, this is what I'm going to give you. I'm going to buy you these books to cater for your school. I don't think when school is about to reopen, your kids will not be looking forward to those books and the bags. We'll still be looking forward to those things. So we pray that the government will look at it. They'll implement the continuous professional development fee. They'll also implement that of the full allowance for the deserving officers. They'll implement the book and research allowance, the rural incentive, the on-call facilitation allowance, the 8% non-basic allowance. So these are the critical areas that we are looking at to augment the work that we are doing.
Thank you so much, sir. We are so good for your time. But please, a very quick one. Don't go. Just stay with us. I have in studio Mr. Martin here, right here with us, and we are going to delve into discussion. I just want him to come in. Very quick one. So we continue. Please, you okay with that?
That's fine. It's for the good of the people listening to us.
Okay, Mr. Martin. Good afternoon, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Hi.
By grace, we are fine. A very quick one. I want to know your general overview on the 2025 budget, especially in the health sector.
Okay, that's great. Thank you for having me. I was supposed to be early there with the weather condition. I'm sorry for that, and to your viewers. I know a lot of people will be expecting your show. Yeah. A great show, of course.
Thank you.
Spoken about loudly in the country for the wonderful work you guys are doing.
Thank you very much.
Great. Quick one. So generally, on the background of where we are coming from 2024, the expectation is that 2025 is for stability. So you could see that stability in a broader sense, where we are both in terms of the macros and also in terms of the micro. In the micro part, what the government was seeking to do is to bring some relief to the ordinary Ghanaian. So you see some omissions of some taxes that used to be in place. You see a lot of budgetary allocations to social interventions, no stress, fee conversation, a lot of allocation to leave. You see government providing a lot of budgetary allocation to what's the name? The district assemblies. Yes. You see quite huge amounts. Yeah. And also trying to overall bring some respect to the consumer, the citizens, those vulnerables, and those who are targeted. Then also looking at overall macro, macro, how are we bringing the interest rate down? How are we managing the exchange rate conversation? How are we making sure inflation is coming down? How are we engendering confidence both in the financial sector and across our investors, right? That is very important. Particularly look at where we are coming from. So any government that came in place, even if I was the president, that would be the objective. And already you have subscribed to an IMF program, and overall objective is to achieve macro stability, fiscal prudence, and have a strong external position, right? So with this, that we are coming into 2025 for, everything that we are seeking to do must be within that. So the monetary, we need a strong work on the part of the central bank and the finance ministry to ensure we achieve that. So when you see, what did we do? What did the government do? What they did was to keep a strong monetary stance. What I mean, they kept the policy rate high to a point where that helps to control inflation. See, without the fundamental macroeconomic variable that is most important is inflation. Because inflation eats your purchasing power. 1,000 Ghana cedis that used to make sense to you. If the inflation rate gets to 54%, you cannot consume those items. And then there will be general economic hardship in the economy, right? So you don't want the fundamentally macroeconomic variable that is the measure of the economic health of any country. Number one is the inflation. You can achieve great GDP income, but if you cannot consume the same baskets of goods and services you used to consume relative to the increase in prices, then your income that you make has no sense, right? So it is important that you then target inflation. So you could see a strong position, a strong policy stance from the fiscal and the monetary. The fiscal, what was the fiscal doing? Discipline, not overborrowing and crowding out private sector from the financial space. So they were, in terms of their borrowing needs, they were controlling it largely, so that you don't spend too much to flare up demand, and that can trigger inflation at the demand side. And what is monetary doing? Keeping the monetary policy rate high, so that that impacts interest rates high, and then private individuals cannot go and business cannot go to banks to borrow money. And then they were also increasing the cash reserve ratio, which is the amount of total deposit that banks must keep with the central bank. Do you understand? So all those policy measures was to tighten and bring inflation down, and we have achieved that from 23.8% to 8% in the latest outturn by Ghana Statistical Service. Now, you could also see that with the relief that is given to what's the name? The taxes that were taken and the direct interventions by government, giving some respite at the base. So the ordinary Ghanaian is happy. Now, the dollar has a pass-through effect on inflation. So if you control that, you are bringing relief to the ordinary Ghanaian. Right? So all this monetary aggregate has been well controlled. And we are seeing some positive trajectory over from January 2025 to date. So overall, the budget for 2025, you don't look at the policies alone, or how much was allocated to this and that. Every budget is triggered by an objective that you want, a program objective that you want to be achieved. And the expenditure and budgetary allocations are then made in that regard to achieve that. Do you understand? So next year you want to expand. Then you then begin to say how much revenue do we generate from this program, and so that we can spend there to achieve to make Clock TV bigger than it was to become.
Amen. So
I get the point.
Yes. So, Mr. Martin, I'd like to hold on here.
Yes.
I think you have a lot of things to give us, but I want to cross back to Mr. Solomon.
Okay, that's great.
I ask a very quick question, then I come back to you again.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. Solomon, please, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, Mr. Solomon, there is, Mr. Martin made mention of taxes, and there is this one tax element where everybody was expecting it to go in 2025 budget. The reason I would like to ask you this question is because it is associated with the health and sector. That is the COVID-19 levy. What is your thoughts on that? Do you think that this levy indeed needs to go, or government or the finance ministry need to take a second thought on that very levy?
Well, I think that the exigencies of the time necessitated us to bring the COVID levy. And as we speak, largely, government has done a lot of tremendous work to help us to keep the country alive. We're not whitewashed with COVID. So if, in the wisdom of the finance ministry, they think it has outlived its usefulness, then they can take it off. But if we think that it will go a long way to also support, in the case of the Mahama Care, the other investments and other things, they have a way of keeping taxes running on others. I mean, largely, like my other gentleman stated, there is stability in the economy. So if you are going to bring it, you are going to take it out, that will further make your people comfortable. Okay. Why not? We will support the call. But if it's going to impoverish the health sector, then we'll just pray that it should be channeled into something else to help us give the quality of healthcare to our people as a nation.
Thank you so much for this submission. Mr. Martin, I don't know if you got a point Mr. Solomon is coming from, that if the COVID-19 would be of use, for example, the aspect of Mahama Care, we are going to talk about, if it can be of use and it can be channeled to that angle, he thinks it's a good one. But if government thinks that it's not going to help, then they should scrap it off.
Yes.
As a tax practitioner, what is your take on this?
You see, the VAT practice or regime that we have right now is not practiced anywhere where tax is levied on tax or tax is levied on levies.
Okay.
So what we do recently is that we have the GET Fund, we have the NHIL, and then we have the COVID-19 applied on the cost of the item. Then you achieve a VATable amount, and then we apply 15% on it to achieve the overall fee, the final figure. So in effect, you are applying the 15 standard rate on an amount that has levy in there, because you aggregate from the cost, you add the NHIL, you add the COVID, and then you add the GET Fund. So before then you get a figure, then you apply. So the 15% is applied on levy plus the original cost of the item. And that is not practiced in any jurisdiction across the world. And it doesn't make sense. It has a cascading effect of increasing the prices of the item, right? So what we need to do technically, we're expecting a new review, and I'm sure I'm 80% sure that review should be done 2026, where we have a one rate that should be applied, right? So that we don't cause inflationary pressures on that. A one rate that will applied so that it doesn't distort. And when it happens like that, the regime becomes distortionary, and it does not engender incentive for the private sector to participate, and they will try to avoid tax, and that will rather go against our tax measure to mobilize more revenue, right? So the finance minister agree on that. That is not the right way to go. We need to review that VAT administration process that we have right now, so that we don't apply levies on it's inflationary by its design, and it's distortionary as well. So the expectation is that will be reviewed, and then we will have a proper VAT regime that helps to mobilize enough revenue whilst ensuring compliance on the part of the taxpayer.
Okay, thank you very much. I think Peter would like to come in, but before that, Mr. Solomon, please are you on the line?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yes. Before we let you go, your final thoughts on the 2026 budget. Before we let you go.
I think for us, we want to have a very good industrial harmony to work and to give the best to our people. So we also expect that what is left for government to do will be done and will be done on at the right time. We appreciate the work that our sector minister is doing with other stakeholders, but we can only say that there is more room for improvement. So we look up to hearing good news, having our condition of service captured in the budget statement so that we can continue to give the best to our people. And we also say that our colleagues that have not been paid, the over 6,500 people, should be considered as soon as possible and they should receive their salaries. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you so much, Mr. Solomon. We are so grateful. That's the Regional Secretary for Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwifery Association of Ghana, especially for Greater Accra. And that is so impressive submission from him. Peter, you had a quick one to say, especially on the issue of VAT. Yes. I realized it when Mr. Martin was talking.
Yes. So on the VAT, as we've agreed that we have the highest, that is when you compute everything, we are at about 21.1%. When you compare it to our neighboring countries, we are the highest. And so as the finance minister has taken it into consideration and would want to review it, in your opinion, at what rate should it be? Because when you look at the standard in other countries, it's more like 17. Yes, so at what rate do you expect?
And that would make sense if you are able to peg it within, because we are in a global world of competition where private investors want to put funds in where the cost is minimized. So, but we should also look at the fact that government also need revenue to be able to meet it. We are wanting the government to pay nurses and also outstanding debt. Then we are still the same people seeking for reduction in tax rates in all that. I think that they should just remove they should rather decouple the effect of the COVID levy.
Okay.
And then make it more practicable and how across jurisdiction it is practiced. That is a better way, because we should also know that we are still recovering.
Okay.
We need revenue to do a lot of things as a country. To bring back, we are coming from recession. So we are now moving to a state of recovery where we then move to growth, right? So 2026, I see it as a year of stability with growth. A year that will still maintain stability, but will be growing the economy more, so that the economy can produce the jobs, the incomes that we'll need for all of us to benefit.
Okay. Thank you very much. The finance minister already said that this year's budget is a budget for job creation and growth, and I think you align with him.
Yeah.
In 2025, the target for inflation was 8% plus or minus 2. From where you sit, how you've studied the economy so far, which angle do you see the target for inflation in 2026?
Yes, you see, for inflation, there are a lot of coordinated policies that you need to put in place to tackle it. Inflation comes from two sources largely. One, from the demand side,
okay.
I will explain, and two, from the supply side, or we call it cost-driven, cost push and demand pull. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Now, so that's why I call demand and supply side. Now, the supply side are cost-related. So, for example, tariffs going up, fuel prices going up, that increases the cost of production, right? And that can trigger prices to increase. So that's cost push. So it's a supply issue, right? There can be distraction in the international front where there are geopolitical issues between two countries, which leads to increase in fuel prices and many issues. So that can trigger inflation. But so that's the cost side. And that one is addressed by budget allocation.
Okay.
The reason why I say that we are in a global world, we cannot discount the impact of global distractions to the economy. But the question is, what resilience buffer have you created to be able to withstand those shocks when they emerge? So, for example, that's why you don't joke with agriculture.
Okay.
Because according to statistics, a large portion of the ordinary Ghanaian income is spent on food, right, and transport. So, if you want to tackle their economic life for them, then address agriculture so that when they go to the ordinary market to buy tomatoes, onion, gari, shito, fufu, cassava, and all that, beans, gobe, and those are the things they want to see that they have gone, and then they will praise you as a government. You don't need an external distraction to plant tomatoes in your country. You don't need the impact of a Russia-Ukraine war to make gari cheaper in the market. You don't need Israel and Palestine war to produce pepper, onion, gobe, and all these things. It is a matter of policy decision. Commitment to the issues of solving the day-to-day ordinary need of the Ghanaian. So it is a commitment, and I'm happy to see that the GDP outturns that we have for the after September, agriculture is a driver of the growth in GDP and services, and that is good for every economy. You want to see an agri-led or a production-led growth, and that is what turn out jobs and reduce inflation. When you check out the inflation, when you break down the inflation figures to it, what that was turned out, you see that largely our food inflation has been the trigger. So it means that if we do investment to produce basic commodities, I'm telling you that if you receive 1,000 and you go to tomatoes, you can buy your gari, you can buy your basic things, and rent is coming down. Transportation is going. That is when people want to say that I'm feeling it in my pocket. That is all they mean by that. That the economy is doing, I'm not feeling it in my pocket. The only thing they want to see is when I go to the market, targeted produce of where we buy are relatively going down. And I'm saying that if you don't, policy is not committed to that, then we have a problem, right? And I'm happy that in the first third quarter, our growth was largely influenced by the first service sector and agri, and we should continue on that. So I want a budgetary allocation in this 2026 budget largely on agriculture and agribusiness, because that's what drives income, that's what drives growth, that's what creates some respite, reduce inflation, and every ordinary Ghanaian and even the economy as a whole will benefit, right? Secondly, what I'm expecting from this budget, right, is more like the last year budgetary allocation, where Agri was not even in the top 5.
Exactly, that was what I was going to say.
Agri was not in the top 5.
Agri was not in the top 5. Agriculture was given an amount of 5,446,000. That was the amount of money given to Agri.
My expectation that now that we want to do the Nkuko, Kete, and the other many projects, right, the budgetary allocation to agriculture should improve for 2026. So that we can see some orientation towards agriculture, some commitment towards agriculture.
So from the scale of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I want to see them in the top 3.
Top 3.
Top 3.
Peter also raised the same thing.
I want to see agriculture in the top 3. So because if you are targeting the ordinary Ghanaian, then and you want to reduce the burden of import on our economy, then the question is production. Where does production come from? You need to produce before you even manufacture that. You add value to it through manufacturing, right? So if you don't invest in agriculture, then what are we doing? So my expectation is that this budget should have some huge allocation to what's the name? To address agri. We also have to look at, I'm happy that the government is looking to allocate more to CAPEX, capital expenditure, in the form of the big push. In every economy, there are 3 economic agents: the consumer, the private business, and the government. The government is the largest spender. So if government spends, the economy booms.
People are saying that 2025 government didn't spend.
Government spent, but spent on certain key areas. They didn't. We were not fiscally indisciplined. They were targeted in their expenditure and what things they want to address, right? But in 2026, that's what I'm saying. That 2026 is about stability and growth. Having achieved macro stability, now we need investment into growth-oriented programs, and that's why you see the big push. They are seeking to apply our petroleum resources, about 30.8 billion. To that project, and that has a replica or a multiplier effect in the global economy, because whatever the contractor will go and buy gobe, they will need someone who have iron rods, someone who sells cement. The cement person will give some to their wife, we also go and buy some materials, import. So generally, when government spends in an economy, the multiplier effect of that fiscal decision is great. And I'm happy to see that.
Okay.
So we are, indeed, let's even applaud the government.
Okay.
For where you are starting from, they didn't come to begin to spend in that. Their fiscal policy was not expansionary, where they were spending too much. You achieve stability in the first year, then you then achieve growth. Embedded in that growth is stability, right? And that's what we are seeking, the government is seeking to achieve in 2026. You want to?
Yes. You've talked of agric, giving the key allocation, especially the third on the list.
Yeah.
I just want to tell viewers, just give us the first 5 ministries. Agric is third.
Yes.
Which one should come first?
You don't joke with the education and health of the people. When you check advanced economies, they largely spend on education, health, and agric.
Okay.
Because these are fundamental to every economy, right?
Yeah.
You need labor to produce. So the advanced economies are not stupid in their decisions. You know, they are particular about their labor, even they're aged. They give them the kind of health support that they need because they know that the resource that's the greatest resource that you need in production is labor.
Yeah.
So you don't want your people who will not have the needed health support if the need arise. So there's a lot of investments into health so that you get quality health and gender production because your labor is healthy, they can go day to day and go and work and be contributing to the GDP of the economy. So health is number one. Education, to grow the capacity.
So health should be one.
Health should be one.
Okay.
Education, agric, ICT. ICT and technology is a very great input in production.
Okay.
Right? So it complements the effort of labor and capital in production, right? So you need ICT as a
communication technology.
And we need to invest in that area to give us energy is critical. Energy must be in the top 5.
Top 5.
Top 5. So for my top 5, health, education, agric, ICT, and energy.
And energy.
Yeah.
What about defense and interior ministry?
Great, but I don't think we have a major
issues.
Ghanaians, we are peaceful, loving people, and there are no external threats that's used to. When was the last time you have any external threat in Africa?
So we are good to go.
We are good to go, right?
Okay.
So for me, what is needed economically, these 5 ministries that I've mentioned: health, education, ICT, agric, and then energy. These are the backbone of any economy, and I want to see them being in the top 5 budgetary allocations for 2026.
Okay, I think let me bring Peter in, then I'll come back to you. On social media, people are talking about the fact that 2026 we are going for World Cup, and anytime you go for World Cup, expenditure in the Ministry of Sports goes up. We just chunk on a message or what the minister said, that he would not advocate for supporters to be sent to the World Cup, but if the need comes, they will do that. Look at the situation we have ahead of us. 2026 World Cup. Don't you think the sports ministry needs more allocation this time around?
Yes, so for me, like we said, the budget is all about revenue and expenditure, like Mr. Martin explained. When it comes to budget, the logic is that you prioritize, the sectors that helps to boost the economy, productivity, and all of that. And so, in as much as we are fighting for, employment and all that, and we are so hopeful and, so convinced that the economy is now stable, I think we should prioritize the things that will help make the economy more stable. And I agree with him perfectly. Yes. So if the need arises, I
think the sports people will come for you on set. Mr. Martin.
Yes.
So I like the same question to Peter, the same question to you. Because we foresee World Cup, supporters need to go. And mostly it's being funded by government. So from where you sit, do you see a very major increment in the sports ministry?
Yeah, let us not joke. I missed that as well in my earlier statement. You see, the youth, because of the cumulative level of unemployment that we have in this country, right? Many of the youth, look at what happened yesterday. Look at the number of people clamoring for unemployment. It's because there are no options. I'm telling you, many of them would have been use their labor experts in other fields that can earn some decent quality work. That I'm not saying
sure.
but what I'm trying to say is that look at the pool of people that were there yesterday. It tells you the canker we have as a country. And if we are not able to address issues of youth unemployment, it's a national security issue that we are even dealing with, right? Now, the youth love sports.
Okay.
In Ghana, one dominant sport that every person is interested in is football. Weekends, DSTV across all bars or anywhere you go. The pool of talent. Is it a case that we can also look at our side? Morocco is doing that. It is a government effort to support sports.
Okay.
It is no surprise they are doing well in all FIFA international competition. They were even a fourth last FIFA World Cup. They went to Olympics, they did well. All major FIFA internationals. I'm saying that can we look at allocating some additional funding to address the unemployment situation in FIFA, the football world, where a lot of our youth are focused, right? So you look at what the interests of the youth and create that needed opportunity for them.
Okay.
So I am much interested in any conversation of that sort.
Okay.
Where we can bring some opportunities for the youth. Those are there. That place, you have limited participation of the private sector because they don't see that any economic benefit largely to them, right?
Yeah.
Some few ones may participate there, but it is not a dominant area like music where it's showbiz where the private sector can benefit from there. So if you don't have complementary government support in that regard, or it becomes a difficulty for the youth there to be able to get a needed opportunity to do well, and that may create a bigger problem for you as a country. Because they normally will switch very late when they know that they can't get the opportunity. I myself, I'm a disappointed football. I'm not an academic. I started football and there was limited opportunity. I needed to switch quickly to academic, and who knows. I would have been one of the great footballers.
Exactly.
So government allocation.
The sound engineer is also told me that he's a great footballer, but because of the situation now, he's doing banking and finance.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah. So government should look at the interests of the youth and the internal resources there to address. But let's look at the unemployment within the youth sector very largely. And many of the interventions, we shouldn't misuse them. There were these many youth enterprises that are there. We must make sure that they are channel the resources into the right quarters. They shouldn't be engulfed in misapplication, misuse, corruption, and all that. And then the Ghanaian people will not benefit at large. So largely, I agree with you largely that there should be some increase in budgetary allocation to both the youth and the sports ministry to address the canker that is serving as a national security threat to our country.
Okay, so you brought in two issues: youth and sport.
Yeah.
This administration introduced two different ministries: one for Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment, one for sports. Alone, that sports ministry. 2025 budget, sports ministry was given 65,899,456 in 2025 budget. Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment, they were given 642,282,655. These two ministries in 2026, in your own opinion, which one should come first? Should the sports come before the Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment? Or we should still maintain the same trend?
I want to first commend the government for separating the two ministries.
Okay.
There's no relationship between youth and sports. There's no relationship between youth.
There's no relationship?
There's no relationship in terms of policy.
Okay.
Building the youth. Are the youth only to be built in sports alone? right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so there should be a policy focus on youth, which in which sport is inclusive.
Okay.
Many other opportunities that will exist for the youth, inclusive of sports, right? So largely, that ministry was focusing on sports, Black Stars. Largely, you could even, but this time around, there's a policy commitment that the youth is the driver of the future of every economy.
Yeah.
So there should be a ministry responsible, and that helps you even in your support from World Bank and IMF and other bilateral organizations, because they will see that you have youth focus, and they are particular about youth focus.
Okay.
Right. So that we should commend the government by doing that. But my caution is that it shouldn't just by way on paper, but we should see some level of commitment in terms of policy and funding to address the needs of the youth, because they are the future of this country, right? And largely, I've not largely seen I see NEIP doing some projects. I see Yes Ghana. I see my brother Malek Basantali also doing a lot of MOUs and initiatives to address the youth unemployment, and those are laudable. Those are laudable, and you could see a drive in the force of, in the case of the youth in this regime than the earlier ones, because the policy is centered on that, and there's a ministry designated to address that, and that is great. We want to see a continuation and even a bigger scale on the things that are in stock for the youth in 2026, and that should be supported by funding from the Ministry of Finance in that respect, right? So that we can tackle the youth issues, build their skill set for the future. We are competing with the global world. Yeah. We need to build a skill set and build capacity of the youth, so that in some years to come they can compete globally, be innovative, bring in new products, bring SMEs. They should become entrepreneurs, big corporate guys, intellectual guys who are competing across the world, have the best training that we expect them to, and we contribute meaningfully to the growth of this economy. And that's what I want to see in the youth case. Right?
Martin, I think Peter have a lot of things to say on the youth when it comes to the youth matter, because youth concern is something everybody talked about. Yesterday he was out there and people were saying a lot of things. So I think you have something to say, Peter.
Yes. So talking about the youth unemployment canker here, there's a school of thought that says that government can only employ a few number of people, and so more energy should be channeled to the private sector. In your opinion, this 2026 budget, how should it be rolled out to enable these small businesses, SMEs, to expand their businesses to be able to employ more youth to, solve the issue of unemployment in this country?
Any government that, particularly developing a country like Ghana, that wants to solve youth unemployment by way of government employment, then we are not serious as a country.
Okay.
Look at the teeming youth that we have. It is important government recruits. However, if government wants to be the one recruiting, then what burden are you? Who are those going to contribute to finance that? Are you going to overburden the existing taxpayers? So what you rather do is to give a congenial environment for interest rates to be down, for inflation to be down. Then have dedicated policy, and that should feed into the banking system on how to provide the needed financing for SMEs who are growing up, right? And need the needed funding and have built some level of capacity to be able to manage some funds, and also business support. So those are the things the youth ministry should be doing. Whilst government is, by way of policy, ensuring that there are funds to support youth, those who are innovative and want to enter into business, there's the needed financial support and capacity building and mentoring along these lines to be able to ensure they achieve those aims. Whilst we are achieving that for the youth, the private sector, the banks must be forced to provide some funding to the youth. There must be policy in terms of tax relief, which is already in our law, for the number of youth that you employ. So that you get some tax rebates from your tax obligations.
Okay.
There must also be a particular effort on the government to ensure that taxes are going down for the private sector. Their burden, the cost of doing business is down. And when that happens, they will grow and expand and employ youth, right?
Okay, yeah.
Those are the only way you can solve the youth unemployment. You do not go and assume a role that should be private sector driven. Otherwise, you are going to overburden yourself, and you will not be rather investing in the future of this youth by be spending it on salary for them, by creating some jobs that we may not even need them. Just like the NAPCO conversation is one painful expenditure that I don't want to recount on. We just arrange some 100,000 number of youth, and we're spending 4 billion every year on them. And 1D1F, which should trigger production and growth, we're spending 200 million Ghana cedis on it on an annual basis. Who then go and just collect 100,000 youth, pay them 700 Ghana cedis stipend every month, and then after some years they go back to unemployment situations. And you choose to spend 4 billion on that project rather. How is that economical in substance, in value? What has the nation gained? Why don't we rather identify a few portion of these people who are entrepreneurs and then support them with the 4 billion on an annual basis? Can you imagine how 4 billion in terms of seed capital could do for the SME sector? Right? But we just created some, go to GRA, go to some place and we're paying you 700. To what impact have they made in those various institutions they were? And where are they now? Right? Yeah. So it is about our commitment and the things, how we manage the economy. Right? And the decisions that we make as a people, it's impacting us. I'm telling you, that 4 billion times 8 is 32 billion. Yeah. If the government allocates this fund here, that we have 32 billion within 8 years, that we want to support youth entrepreneurship and development. Can you imagine what we have done sustainably into the long term for the youth of Ghana?
I think, Mr. Martin, this conversation is getting interesting and interesting. You touch on issue of job creation and making the private sector do more. That is the aspect of industrialization, opening up the sector we find ourselves in. 2025 budget, Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry was given an amount of 546 billion Ghana cedis. This time around, looking at the conversation around job creation, around growth, around industrialization, in your opinion, how much do you think, or where do you think the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry should be?
Well, I would want to tell you that next year, I would want to counsel Finance Minister to spend this year.
You want to?
Counsel them to spend this year.
Okay.
Spend next year, but with a mindset not to distort the economy.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
If we don't spend, we can't grow. In all sectors of the economy, we need to put some fund in there. Trade, industry, agribusiness is driver of growth and employment.
Sure.
So we need to commit funds to there. Agriculture, we need to do that. But I want to say fund, not just funding that will not achieve
exactly
the output and outcomes that we want to see. I'm happy it's job creation and growth, and the finance minister, I trust him in all respects, what he's able to do. He has done magic with the central bank governor in managing the economy in 2025. And I'm telling you that if for him, many are not sometimes, but largely, he has managed the economy well. And with that confidence I have in him and the central bank governor, the expectation and I like the caption for the next year budget, job creation and growth. So in all sectors of the economy, we need to make sure we are funding programs that are engendering growth and creating the jobs that we needed in the various critical sectors. It is all about programs and funding. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
So we'll expect that in the 2026 budget, some reasonable amount should be allocated to trade, industry, and agribusiness to fund developmental projects there.
Thank you so much for such submission. Viewers, as we said, we'll be crossing to Parliament as and when. We brought you earlier, we brought you the live proceedings from Parliament when the Appointments Committee chair was presenting the reports of the committee to the House based on the vetting of the Chief Justice nominee. We'll be crossing over to bring you live feed as and when the need may be. So keep on sticking with us because we bring you the live update of the 2026 budget presentation and economic policy. We are still discussing the 2026 budget expectation. What is your expectation? What do you want the government to do? What angle do you expect the economy to go? Everybody is saying that yes, there's stability in the economy. Indeed, cedi is performing very well. Indeed, petrol price has gone down. Yesterday with GPRTU, they spoke extensively. Indeed, petrol price has gone down. But what do we expect in the 2026 budget? From Mr. Martin, we expect growth. We expect job creation. So governments need to spend. Is that what you are also calling for? Or you are calling for a different thing at all? I've been doing this with Peter Kojo Insiam and Mr. Martin Ohien Enim, who happens to be in the studio. Just stick and stay with us, because we have amazing and interesting content for you as we cross over to Parliament. We'll be back to look into all the issues, all the happenings, all things happening in Parliament, and also continue with a discussion about the budget 2020. So don't go anywhere, just keep and stay with us. We are bringing you a live feed from Parliament.
All our rules, Mr. Speaker, because of timing, I want to state that if you take Order 217, it says that the committee's report will either be by consensus or by voting. Mr. Speaker, so far as all of us were concerned, there was no voting at the Appointments Committee. Because, Mr. Speaker, as you know, votings are done at the tail end of the matter, whether it's a motion, whether it's a question, whatever decision is taken at the tail end. And Mr. Speaker, as we all also know, because of the timing, the rules of the House says that whatever rules that play to the chamber equally plays at the committee level. And Mr. Speaker, like I'm debating now, I cannot speak now and tell you, Mr. Speaker, when it's time for voting, I'll be voting this way and therefore step out. No, it has to be, I have to be present and be voting, as in Article 104 of our Constitution and our Standing Orders 139. Mr. Speaker, I believe that the committee's conclusion should be that it is by consensus decision. It cannot be by majority decision. It was by consensus decision. But Mr. Speaker, and the most important thing, as Mr. Speaker, you may know because of your deep knowledge of this House and its rules, if we are at a committee to vote, until somebody raises quorum, quorum is assumed. If it's time for us to vote and there's nobody to raise issue of whether we have our full membership or what have you, it is assumed. Mr. Speaker, when people walk out, their names will still be recorded as present. When you are going to record those who were present, their names will be recorded. But they cannot say, we are voting, but we are walking out. No. The time that they were saying they were voting was not time for voting. So, Mr. Speaker, I want the House to consider this and amend the committee's report to indicate that the decision was by consensus so that they do not take more of our time. Mr. Speaker, most importantly on the nominee, for me, I'm wondering why our colleagues are even doing what they are doing. Because, Mr. Speaker, it is very clear by Article 146 of the Constitution where the President is mandated, if there is petition, to remove a Chief Justice or otherwise, the proper procedure was followed to the end. And if you have a challenge to that, it is not on the floor of Parliament that you come and challenge that. Mr. Speaker, the nominee, if you look at his experience, you and I, Mr. Speaker, with all humility, were members of the Appointments Committee when we vetted him in 2008. I was a backbencher member of the Appointments Committee, and he's been there for 17 years. Mr. Speaker, if you look at his impeccable records, you will be wondering why has he not been Chief Justice long ago. Because, Mr. Speaker, this is one person that has run his career through almost all the government. He got to the bench through President Rawlings, as indicated by even the committee's report. He got to the High Court through President Rawlings. Then, through President Kufuor, he went to the Appeals Court and the Supreme Court. And he's one of the very experienced persons that we have. If you look at his experience, if you look at the things that he's been able to do, even academically, and you wonder why he was not even made a Chief Justice earlier. But like we said, everybody marks his time. This is his time. This is the time for Justice Paul Bafuboni. And Mr. Speaker, we must support him and encourage him to be able to give out his best, as he himself had indicated in the record. But Mr. Speaker, I want us to look at the issue of the committee's conclusion, saying that it's by majority decision. Mr. Speaker, I strongly believe it is by. Thank you very much.
Honourable Member, very difficult to accede to your request because you now have to define what voting means. What do you mean by voting? Do you have to use a thumbprint? Can you use your mouth to vote? There are so many ways that you can determine somebody has voted. The report is very clear. It says after the minority leader made his submission, which was preliminary, it stated clearly and is quoted, the minority caucus hereby vote en bloc to reject the nominee. That is at the public hearing. And so, clear indication as to voting. Then, getting to the end of the report, the chairman captured it again, where he says in conclusion, all the members of the New Patriotic Party minority were opposed to and voted against the nomination of the Chief Justice. That is what we have. And so I'm saying that then you have to define what we mean by vote. Has it got to be?
So that's as a live feed from Parliament. They are still on the approval of the Chief Justice. We bring you all the updates, whether he's going to be approved or he's not going to be approved. And just after that discussion or that debate, that is when the budget will start. So people are asking the question that what happens if the approval takes 6 hours? Then are we going to see the budget next? But we will still be bringing you all the updates in Parliament today. So keep on watching Clock TV. We'll bring you all the updates that you need to know in Parliament today. Mr. Martin, we are back again.
Right.
Yes. In your submission, you were talking about the fact that the private sector need to be given a lot of attention so that they would push the growth of their country, because employment is not by the government sector, but rather by the private sector. In this year, we heard of 24-hour economy. And when we went out even yesterday, in interaction with people, they were asking that they've not seen the real impact or 24-hour economy happening. So they keep on asking the question, what is really happening? From where you sit, do you see the finance minister addressing the issue of 24-hour economy in the budget reading today?
You see, the 24-hour economy, based on the policy document, is largely to be driven by the private sector. Mm-hmm. It is not, it's a government that provides the congenial environment for the private sector to thrive. Mm-hmm. So what are they seeking to do? If you subscribe to the 24-hour economy, unlike taking interest rates at the market rate, there will be a specialized rate for you where the government can support in doing that. The expectation is also that the energy, your utility payments will not be just like the market rate, but there will be a tailored utility regime, tariff regime with you that will give you some relief or reduction to be able to reduce your cost of production. So the overall objective is to make private sector lead in the production, right? But to government support is to reduce your burden in production so that you can grow. And then instead of doing one shift, then when I'm able to provide you that support, then you can recruit more and do 3 shifts. That's the expectation, right? And also, when you do 3 shifts, you can also produce within 24 hours. So it's largely manufacturing driven.
Okay.
Right? And that's good for any economy. The expectation is that we want to see that more frontal this time around. Yeah, and let's hear updates on what the issues are, who are the beneficiaries of this program. Okay. Every policy, it is important that as and when there are updates as to who are the beneficiaries. Just like you're asking me, we want to. It's a good laudable policy to see an economy running, particularly the manufacturing running 24 hours, and then that kind of engender production and then boost economic activity. Exactly. So that is the expectation. So I would want to see more aggressive. We have done our bit, but 2026 should be more. We should see more actions in that respect. And particularly when you have captioned the budget to be growth and job, you can't take away the 24-hour conversation. The orientation of that program is to growth and job creation. So we want to see what is in 2026 in respect of the continuation of that. Okay. You scale up a big push from 13 to 30, right? So what is the scale up on the 24-hour? And we want to see something very substantial. Okay. In that regard, because that's the way forward. You can't just give captions, job creation and growth without commitment in terms of policy and funding. Okay. And to be able to do that. So we want to see in the budget, and I'm very certain about that we'll see that manifesting in our budget. And then the issue of you mentioned something when we were on the Gold Board and then its impact. Exactly. You see, one major intervention that we cannot discount that has come to solve many of our problems, solve some problems in our foreign exchange management, is the coming into play of the Gold Board. Earlier, because there was no regulator in the foreign exchange market, particularly in our gold market, just like we have Cocoa Board, then the idea is that can we have something like Gold Board where we can control proceeds that we receive from our gold and ensure that we are maximizing same, right? In the previous regime that we had, or the previous, the way we have PMC that was leading that, it didn't have any largely an act of parliament that was supporting it in terms of what they are able to do. Like what Gold Board is, there's an extended mandate on the part of Gold Board, who is acting like more of a regulator, right? So if you notice from the coming on into being of the Gold Board, the PMC only made $2 billion for 2023 in terms of gold proceeds. Now, 2023, we made 2.1 billion. 2024, we made 4.6 billion. But as at October 2025, we've made 8 billion because of the coming into force of the Gold Board. And that's good international foreign reserves. It is no surprise that the Bank of Ghana has the audacity to be intervening in the dollar, bringing dollars into market, to see the kind of gains we are seeing in our foreign exchange. So we cannot discount the relevance of Gold Board in the stability of the exchange rates we are seeing. Is a major contributor to that.
Okay. We cannot discount the relevance of the Gold Board. In 2025, an amount of 279 million Ghana cedis was allocated to Gold Board. Yeah. Do you think it should be increased, or proceed generated by Gold Board should be used to fund the Gold Board activity?
I think that was a seed capital, right? And Bank of Ghana also gives them funding to buy gold for their Gold for Reserve program, right? Yeah. So they definitely will make some gains from there. Okay. And then we expect that those will be used to run the program. Okay. Right? So we don't need any budgetary allocation. Right now, they are able to buy some reasonable amount of gold and export to end the foreign exchange that we have to do. We have to obtain to support the cedi.
Yeah.
Now, but the question is that policy sustainable? The answer is no. You don't manage exchange rate alone. The answer is alone with intervention. It's a short-term measure, right? We are earning much from our gold. When you check our balance of payment account, you see that we have current account surplus.
Yeah.
And the trade account is even surplus. The driver is proceeds from gold and cocoa. International market prices have shot up largely. So almost $4,000 per ounce for the gold. So we are making more proceeds from the gold now. Okay. What about next year when the international market prices go down? What will be the impact, right? So largely, in the short term, every central bank manage their foreign exchange by coming to intervene when they need be, or mop up when they have to, right? Then the objective is to achieve some level of exchange rate that is necessary to achieve. The exchange rate has a pass-through effect on the inflation, right? So they will then want to manage the exchange rate within the targets that they've set for themselves. Okay. And that is why Bank of Ghana is intervening to bring the dollar down so the economy will be better for us, right? That's what we've done. But in the medium to long term, that is not a good measure. Because you cannot put your hope on international market. What about when there's distraction, there's war? So your gold prices may come down and that may impact your economy. So in the short term, that is good. But can we sustain it? No. What do you do to make it sustainable in the medium to long term? You need to expand your export base. Right? Okay. You are not only gold and cocoa. What about if something happens to them? What are you going to do as an economy? Yeah. Right? You need to expand your export base, enhance manufacture, so that you add value to your item. You can export and get more money. You know, people are happy with their gold board jewelry company. Yeah. That is what we want to see, where our gold is not only exporting the raw form, but there's some value that is added to that into ornaments and priced jewelries pricey jewelries that we can get some foreign. When you export or we buy from here, we can get some great money from that. That is what we call value addition. Okay. So we want to see, can we add value to cocoa? Can we add value to coffee? Can we add value to cashew? Can we produce some milk, some juice, some cocoa powder, something chocolate, something, right? From all plantain, can we convert it to something? Cassava, can we convert it into some value? Okay. Maize, can we do some flour or something from it, right? Our coconut, can we do coconut oil? We want to go to the grocery shops and we are seeing made in goose, made in Ghana goose on the shelves, right? Not the one that is dominant by foreign products, right? Okay. Can we, so that we produce to the extent that domestic consumption is not enough, and then we need to export some of them. That is what economy is about, right? But you don't do that just by being lazy. Okay. Concerted. We can start by just looking at our import bills, which are the ones that we have comparative advantage to be able to produce. I don't think we need to suffer to produce tomatoes and do tin tomatoes. This should be basic, right? I don't think for toothpick we need any magic to go and... Why are we importing toothpick? These are basic items that we should be able, palm oil and all that. Exactly. So these are basic commodities, I think, by way of policy. Okay. Nigeria have done that. You don't go to Nigeria and see foreign rice there. I stayed in Nigeria. I was born in Nigeria, and I grew to some stage. I never ate foreign rice, and it's a policy that they banned. So you could see the rice industry has grown, and that's created the jobs and the income in that sector, right? Okay. So it's a matter of policy, looking at the various, and so the Concord is a policy, right? Yeah. To address the poultry imports bill that we pay. So a lot of your foreign exchange will go into things that. So if you don't have foreign reserves to support it, you have to go and borrow. Then that increase your debt. So it has a cascading effect. So the question is, the gold board coming into place is a good thing. Sustainably, we should measure. It shouldn't become like the normal public sector institutions that because the idea of cocoa board was great until they also were saddled with a lot of great a high level of debts.
Yeah.
And then we need to come and address them. Part of the domestic exchange program that was done. Those who have what their instruments have to be done. Some haircuts on their investment. We don't want to see that becoming of that of gold board.
Okay.
I want to see a strong supervision and control on the board on the part of government.
Okay.
There was a critical institutional reform that was put in place to bring some stability in our exchange rate conversation.
Thank you so much for that submission, Mr. Martin. I think Peter is so much concerned about the issue of Women Development Bank. I think I will leave that to him. Peter, I'd like to have that conversation.
That's right. But before we go into that, you just gave a very brilliant submission. And then this was embedded in the 24-hour economic policy. And then since it was rolled out, we had people criticizing it, saying that there was going to be a shortfall. And there's another school of thought saying that we didn't see that one come to bear or roll out because there was a projected shortfall of revenue. Now that Gold Board is doing very well and we are getting some form of revenue from there, do you think that that revenue should be channeled into the 24-hour economy so that going for 2026, the form of production and all that we are looking for will come to bear?
So the money from
the proceeds from,
I think an act of parliament will regulate the activities of any institution,
okay,
and will not require to be using it anyhow. There will be regulation on that. But just like we cannot say Bank of Ghana should go and give money to Women Development Bank, right? Because they have an act that regulates their activity, right? So they are not into business to fund government. What they could do, what at maximum, that their profits, a portion of them will be paid as dividend to the consolidated fund. Then maybe government then may earmark that in the pool to say that, oh, I've gotten more money, so I want to do Women Development Bank. I can agree with you on that, right? But what we want to see is that when I look at the budgetary allocation for
Women Development Bank, 51
million, yeah,
0.3 million,
right? But when you check the youth, you mentioned about 600-something million, right? Now, the I foresee largely because a bank you need minimum working capital of 400 million. So if you are even allocating 600 million to some ministries and only a bank will take more than 80% of the budget allocation, then it becomes a bit. So what I'm trying to say is that largely what the government is seeking to do is to provide some support to women. Let's put into being. It may not be a bank, but a fund. At the end of the day, we have achieved the objective. The objective is to achieve financial inclusion, where women that otherwise couldn't seek for financial assistance from banks and other financial institutions could now come to a government-supported fund that is earmarked to provide some funds to the women at a minimum, as a reasonable interest rate that they can pay. And that can engender some petty trading and SMEs in that regard. And they can support women and provide some level of financial inclusion, right, of women they are vulnerable. Women are vulnerable in terms of the ability to source funding. The ratio between a man and a lady going forward to be able to source funding, there's a higher probability that a man may be able to access credit than that of a woman, right? And sometimes they are the one who even suffer the most in their house, right? Sometimes, right? So they are vulnerable side, and the intervention is great. Whatever the form is, I don't foresee a bank. I don't foresee a bank, but I foresee a fund rather than that will be, because to get a bank that will be able, we have to have some branches across the branch network that must be across the network. How are we able to do that in the short term? That will be a difficulty. So let's grow it rather into a bank. Let's grow from a fund. Then we grow progressively. Then we can then become a bank in some few years to come. That is laudable, right? So, but the roadmap should be there. How can we want to fund it and then support the private women in business to be able to they also contribute economically to jobs and income. So I am expecting, and I'm telling you that we will definitely see a higher budgetary allocation to the women bank than what we saw
earlier
in the 2025, because the government is seeking to spend a lot. You know, the president even mentioned that we should forgive him, that Ghana will become like a construction site in 2026. Major, what's the name? Infrastructure projects across all sectors, road, health, transport, energy, across all of them. The objective is to lay down the foundation for growth. You cannot do anything in any economy without infrastructure. They provide, they are the enabler for growth. So I'm happy when I heard that the government is committed. If it's able to do the things they have listed, Mama has done enough. Because the last 8 years, you see, one thing that we didn't do, we have not put our eyes on, that how come the last 8 years we are not seeing tangible hospitals like that of the Ridge Hospital, like that of the UGMC? As a country, we should be alarmed by that. That if any government comes and you do not, agenda, what was it? Is Agenda 111? It was a greater intervention. We're all happy and upbeat about that. But 8 years, you didn't complete one. It was very bad. They should have rather focused on progressive doing, not scattered and dotted across, where you have not even launched one or commissioned one for your operationalization, right? Maybe you do 3, you've completed, you move to the next 3. That is where we see that you are actually doing something. But when they are dotted across and a new government which is coming into place, which I'll be worried the Mahama administration doesn't continue with that project. I'm happy they are seeking to operationalize some of them, which is a good thing. Business, a country of continuation. And even on the road projects, the tax credit market is part of the big push. So they have subsumed many of those projects into the big push, which is good. Continuation, because the money is not for any president. It's for us as a people. Sometimes we take away ourselves from parliament. We call them politicians. And we give them certain names, and as though they are superhuman and different from us as people. No, they are representatives of us, and they are working in our state. Do you get it? That's why I don't joke with voting. Do you know the meaning of voting? It means that I'm giving you my power to run things on my behalf. So you should know the person you are voting for the next 4 years. He determines your future. He determines the money that comes to your pocket. And that's a great decision to make. So you don't use other ways to vote. You should be thinking about yourself as a person, not ethical or where ethnic or where you are coming from, but about your whole well-being. Do you want to continue to suffer? Is the leader in question able to make good decisions? Does he resemble one that can do that in his life, course of life, over the period? Those are the things that we should be looking at. And what is the policy stance of both parties in the things they do? What has this person been doing? And the leader, what does he stand for? Those are the things you look at, because in the next 4 years, your life is dependent on that. Exactly. The cost that you are buying as 1 cedi, whether it will be 20 cedis or it will be 2 cedis, it depends on the leader you put there.
Sure.
Great. So we shouldn't joke with decisions of that sort. So I am saying that, let me even move into other conversation, but more seriously, that we shouldn't joke with the issues of they are not superhumans. They are people that we put in that state, right? To lead and make policy decisions. So we call them certain, they are politicians as though they are different from us. No. We voted for them, right? And that's why we changed the president. We can change anybody who is sitting there. And the constitution gives us the mandate and power, and with the powers within which we can remove any person, right? So 2026, coming back to the budget, let's do what will be right for the people. Let's support the private sector. Let's invest enough into infrastructure. I want to see more hospitals. Let us not joke with that. Can you imagine if let's see more hospitals, let's see more road networks, which are very bad road network. Can you imagine if the whole Accra was looking like the Kanda? You see the Kanda road to the Accra girls, very sweet, and the street lights are working. You see, that is how every when you go to Ethiopia, they are. You know, that is what engenders the private, even external investors who come and invest in your country. They look at that. It's a determining factor. So we're hoping to see the construction sites in 2026. It's a good thing that our road networks will be very good for us. And interventions or investments in our markets and schools, which are very crucial to us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Martin, for a very wonderful submission. Our time is almost up, and I think we will be having you back again for
After
the post discussion.
Yeah, that was where we have a lot of.
We have a lot of things to say. Probably on Tuesday we'll be doing that, and we will break everything down. The key allocation we'll get to know indeed which ministry was given highest and why, and all this kind of reason. Peter, we are climaxing the discussion. Your last words.
Yeah. So basically, I'm also looking forward for job opportunities, and the relief. In terms of, in terms of everything. Mm-hmm. So basically, job opportunities for the youth.
Thank you so much. Mr. Martin, before you go, your final words.
Yes, so let's look at, since we have a lot of things to do, we need to maximize, also get a lot of things from our tax revenues.
Okay.
We have been having this conversation that the informal sector, which is larger, is not contributing enough to the tax revenue of our country. Administratively and by way of technology, we want to see new ways of identifying this thing. There are two ways of increasing revenue.
Okay.
It's either increasing the tax base or increasing the tax rate, right? The tax base is expanding the number of people and bringing them into the net.
Okay.
Then you can maximize the tax revenue, right? If you're able to bring more people into the tax bracket, then when we do that, we say we have increased the tax base. But you can also choose to increase the tax rate with the existing tax base. So you are only making those existing people to pay more. Sure. And when that happens, you overburden them, right? So I don't want to continue with the effect, but there are two ways. We have done increasing the tax rate over the years. That is not helpful. Okay. Now, let's increase the tax base, which is the number of people that will be roped into the tax net, right? And we can only do that by way of administration and by way of technology to identify more people into the tax net.
Thank you so much for a very wonderful submission, Mr. Martin Ohin Enim, who happens to be a chartered financial economist and also a chartered accountant who is a PhD finance candidate. And I did this with Peter Kojo Insia, another wonderful man when it comes to the aspects of business. Mr. Martin said that the government should focus on increasing the tax base. That is the area to go, not necessarily the tax net. And also we're expecting a budget that is job friendly, a budget that is going to be driven marginally by the private sector. So government should look at interventions for the private sector, especially people are calling for the COVID levy must go. We know by the close of the day, we would get to know indeed if the COVID levy is off or it's there, or indeed whether there have been a reform on the VAT system that we have as a country. Thank you so much for staying with us. Just after the studio discussion, we are going to cross back to Parliament to bring you live proceedings, what is happening over there, and you get to know it for yourself. God willing, on Tuesday, we'll be back on your screen again with the post-budget discussions. We'll be going to look into it. Indeed, was the Ministry of Agri considered a third, or is still somewhere seventh or eighth? Was the Ministry of Communication considered a fourth? Or where are they? So God willing, on Tuesday, we'll bring you all these updates on Clock TV Business Update segment. Thank you so much for staying with us. As I said earlier, we did this with Peter Kojo Insia and Mr. Martin Ohin Enim. Do enjoy the live feed from Parliament.